This is certainly a debate that has been getting a lot of conversation within the Jewish community because Dame Maureen Lipman has said that non-Jews should not play Jewish roles, and particularly she was talking about Helen Mirren, who is playing Golda Meir in a film about Golda Meir. She said that there are plenty of Jewish actresses who should be looked at first, and that while she thinks that Helen Mirren is a fine actress, she thinks that there is something specifically Jewish about Meir that requires a Jew to play her. Now, I spoke actually to Golda Meir's grandson to find out what the family think of this debate, and he said that he's sure Helen Mirren is great and being Jewish or not doesn't matter at all. Now, this is definitely something that I'm hearing more and more, but there are people who feel that just as white people shouldn't play black people in films, for example, and some people who believe that transsexual roles in films should be played by genuine transsexuals or transgender people, so too they believe Jews should only be played by Jewish actors. But there's a lot of discussion over this, and the celebrated Jewish writer and director of theatre, Patrick Marber, has said that he particularly dislikes the idea of so-called lived experience, because he says that really contradicts the very nature of what it means to be an actor, that you're actually pretending to be somebody else from a different time, a different place, different religion, different sexuality, and that's certainly an argument that's got a lot of support.
But Jonathan, can we really compare to blackface of characters of other cultures being played by actors of different ethnicities? I mean, where do we make the comparison or draw the line here?
No, we can't really make the comparison. You're absolutely right. It's not the same thing for a non-Jew to play a Jew as it is for a white person to play a black person. That's because just to look at the person, you can see there is a difference. Jewish people, of course, don't all look recognizably Jewish. And so there's nothing wrong with a non-Jew playing a Jew. Of course, the complaint among some in the Jewish community is that sometimes the nuances of a Jewish character are missed by a non-Jewish actor. And sometimes, indeed, they overdo it, and it's a sort of pale caricature of Judaism. But I would say that's really more just a case of bad acting, and I think we're all against bad acting in dramas and on the television, on the stage. If they're good actors and they can carry off the part, then they should be able to do it.
Definitely. And why, when it comes to Judaism, why is this issue so contentious? I mean, we don't see a stir over non-Italian actors playing Italian characters. This is, I mean, frankly, crazy, I think.
Well, it's just as well we don't, because I think all actors would find it very hard only to be allowed to play a character who is, well, themselves. Otherwise, there's nothing else that you can play because it's not really authentic and it's not using your so-called lived experience. I think the reason that this has caused such conversation and debate among Jewish circles is that in other areas there have been complaints that Jewish people are often not treated fairly, even when it comes to racism. So sometimes Jewish people feel that they don't count when racism is being targeted and fought. They are perhaps overextending it into this area and saying that if there are debates about black parts being played by non-black actors or gay parts sometimes being played by non-gay actors, then why shouldn't the same logic be extended to Jews? But I think that's to throw the baby out with the bathwater. In reality, perhaps these things aren't always necessary for all minorities. Perhaps it's only really where there is a visual or racial difference that the audience can see that somebody needs to play the part from that particular background.